So
Right.
go ahead, Daniel. How do you deal with conflict when it arises with your subcontractors?
Some of the advice I can give to people is, you know, address the situation immediately with your sub, and the client. That will definitely show the client that you're on top of things. Never let problems linger. I don't get into the conflict with, the sub at the time of the job. I say, listen, we'll get through it. We got to get the job done. Let's revisit this at the end of the day or at the end of the project. We'll earmark that, because you also, we're all human. I don't want that added stress to them too. If you get into a conflict, then they can't finish the job, and they are a sub. And if they decided to walk off, you can't do anything about that, right? If they didn't want to do it, if they decided to walk off. So my advice is just be cool, calm, and collective about it. Be direct and be stern. Get your point across, but don't make it argumentative with your
Mm,
subs. Um, and just, keep reminding them what the goal is. Your goal is
mhm.
here to help these people in the time of need. I understand you're frustrated. They're frustrated too. So let's just push through
Mm,
it and get through it.
yeah. And Daniel, a follow-up question to you, and then Tim, I'd like to get your perspective is when do you know, when do you decide it's time, Daniel, to just break ties with a subcontractor and just go your separate ways? When do you make that decision?
Yeah, I'm gonna first off, I mean, and I've had it before where a client will just flat out tell you that don't ever bring that crew back to my building. Um, I don't know if I would I don't know if I would never bring them back to that building. I don't necessarily if I would break ties, but it's kind of
Mm,
like three strikes and you're out rule. Again, what I was saying before, you don't want to, cut your nose off to spite your face. But at the same time, Maxon's and Tim and his company as well, you have a standard that you're trying to withhold. And once you start going below that standard, well, then now you're affecting your entire company. And that goes, in my opinion, to the entire company beyond the project manager. It's the entire company. You're going to
yeah,
smear the company's name. So, uh, I think that's one way to deal with it.
yeah. No, that's a really good. I think that's a really important perspective. I don't. I think that in the moment when something's blowing up and the client's upset, I don't think that. I think it shows that you're a seasoned veteran, Daniel, to think, okay, hold on a second, how will this impact the whole organization before I make kind of a hasty decision here? So that's a wise perspective. Tim, what's your perspective on, when it's time to maybe make a change with those subcontractor relationships, or maybe maybe it's time to break off a professional relationship? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, well, just like with an employee, if you're managing that situation appropriately
Hmm.
or you're managing that subcontractor's performance appropriately, you're probably all over that. And yes, I mean, Daniel's spot on when he says that you have a level of quality that you want to deliver in the field. And if your trade partners are not living up to that expectation, chances are they're going to know about it if you're managing it correctly, because you're breathing down their neck every day, or you're asking them to make corrective action, or whatever the case is. So when it does finally come that time, I think what I would do is I would look at the value that you're getting out of the relationship with that subcontractor, and then the cost. So you kind of do that cost benefit comparison. And if the costs are outweighing the benefits, then it's certainly time to make a move. And at that point, I would hope that the subcontractor would feel that the relationship's not working out for them either. So it would be a mutual arrangement.
Right. No, I think that's good. That's good advice. Um, Now, one of the things that I'd love to chat about, and Tim, why don't we start with you, and Daniel, we'll definitely want you to weigh in on this, is if we kind of flip the conversation and actually look at things from the perspective of the subcontractor. So if we were to kind of put ourselves in the shoes of a subcontractor, um, and just think about their world, Tim, what are some of the common complaints that a
Mhm.
subcontractor probably has for the actual company that they're contracting off of? Oftentimes, getting a better sense of what their challenges are help us to better, strengthen those relationships. What upsets a subcontractor? What are the things that kind of, drive them up the wall?
Yeah. Well, I spent most of my career in the operations side of the business. So
Mhm,
I always viewed sub trades and the trade partners as being a pretty active part of the project team. So
mhm,
I actually spent a fair amount of time speaking with our trades
and talking to them about our performance
Mm.
as a vendor of theirs, and as a GC for them. So the feedback over the years, the obvious one is payment. I don't think you can't pay subcontractors too fast. Even when you tell them one thing, they probably hear something different. But
Yeah.
it seems like you've got that endless stream of them standing outside your door, waiting for a check.
Yeah.
But aside from that, coming back to the common complaints were usually around communication, like we talked about
Yeah.
before, but also how it had an impact on the schedule. And I can't tell you how many times I've interviewed a plumber or an HVAC or any mechanical contractor, and they've said, "Hey, Tim, I just want your guys to be able to call me more than 24 hours before they need me on a job site and let me know when it's going to be ready to go, because
Mm.
I've got a business to run, I've got other customers to tend to, and there needs to be a certain level of respect for that.
Yeah.
I'm not a dog where I'll come if you call. But it's not how the relationship works. So
Yeah.
strengthening that relationship by scheduling appropriately and having some respect for the fact that they're running a business too, and that they're a part of the team, just as much a part of the team as everybody else is.
Hmm. No, well said, Daniel. I'd love to get you to weigh in on that. When you spend time talking to your contractors, the subs that work with you, and they bring up a beef that they have, what are some of the common themes, like some of the common pain points, and maybe how do you work through those with them?
Yeah, again, some of the things that Tim said, I'm going to mirror. One of the biggest is you got to really realize they are running a company of their own too. So you want to be respectful of them, at the same time deliver exemplary service to your client by using them.
Hmm.
Um, I think again, it's going to always go back to communication with me, because that's what we
Yeah.
pride ourselves at Maxons with, and what our clients and giving daily updates.
Yeah.
Um, that's really what it comes down to there, and just money. They a lot, getting paid, which I'm not doing a comparison, but I know we are strict on how many days we pay our subs.
Mm.
Um, so that's a complaint that I hear about other companies,
Yeah.
payment, time frames. But I don't have that as much, because again, we're emergency based. We're pretty
Yeah.
much, I've sent guys from one job to another, 3 jobs in a day. If they're
Mm.
small enough. So we're constantly running and gunning, is our phrase that we like to say. And and I would say the biggest is amount of money they're getting paid.
Yeah.
That's always something that I'm dealing with, uh, on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Is the amounts in it, and we do have obviously agreed pricing, but you get into gray areas when there's not full days and half days and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
I would say, if your advice wise, if your profit margin allows it, you want to take care of your subs, as much as you can.
Yeah.
And I just say that on a small scale, meaning like on a full day example. If they work 6 hours, I'm going to pay them for the full day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to nickel and dime them, on that. I think that's going to get a bad taste in their mouth, and I think the quality of the work is going to go down.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
that that's one of the common things that I see. Otherwise, we're in this field to help people, so I got to think behind that. Everybody's first thought is they want to get out and help somebody and get this disaster taken care of.